Okay, that was the really weird one. I didn't get into that one as much as I have the other ones. I found myself sort of switching off a little bit partway through it. I'll try and remember what happened in it because I mean all the other ones really hooked me. This one was sort of like I wasn't as hooked on this one. So this one was called Pickman's Model, and it was a very art based one. So if you're into art, you're probably gonna like this one. So basically, it all started off with an artist who's a very good artist, and he's like drawing a picture of his like girlfriend at the time, and they're sort of like there's some of this like flirty relationship and that, and it's quite nice. But the whole beginning part, I think, didn't even need to be there. To be honest with you, didn't need that at all. Don't I'm holding this. Yeah, it didn't need to be there. It was a strange. It was again. This felt bitty. It felt like it was a bit mixed up and a bit bitty. I feel like it was tried to elongate something that was probably shorter at one point. That's what I feel. So yeah, so we start off with this guy. He's an artist. He's in this like art school, like prestigious art school. Obviously, it's one of these like um, master apprentice type places. There's a lot of other people there, and he's obviously the top dog in this art school. And then you meet a guy called Pickman who turns up at this art school, and he does this drawing, and our main character walks round, sees his art, and he's like, "Oh, he's very good, but he's very bit weird, bit twisted like." Like, he draws this model, and he doesn't draw it quite as the model is. So then he starts talking to his friends. They all say they think Pickman's good, so he decides he wants to sort of see more of him. Finds out he does his drawings in a graveyard, so he goes and meets him in a graveyard. And then Pickman lets him come back to sort of his art place, his like workshop, I suppose, come home. And so our main guy, his name is Will, was looks at one of his paintings and kind of gets like almost like it goes into him somehow. It sort of affects him. You start to see the painting sort of move in a little bit of a way. It's like a painting of like a coven and a head witch sort of thing, and they've killed someone. And this is where I mean, it's a good start. And I was like, okay, I'm into this. And then he goes outside. He first of all he gets dizzy, goes outside and throws up. Then this carriage turns up with kind of like a witch with this old man in the back who's suckling on this witch, and that's a bit weird. And then just sort of the lights go off in the carriage and it sort of gets beckoned into the carriage. He walks over and this sort of witch face comes at him, scares him a bit, and he wakes up. It's all been a dream. And then there's like a few dreams that go on. Again, you can tell I'm not really into. I'm not really bothered by this one. I'm not excited by it like all the other ones. I didn't notice the guy was Prince Caspian though. That was one thing I noticed. So then he goes on. He's like ends up going to this party with his like his girlfriend's party. Her dad's gonna be. He's never seen a dad before, and he starts seeing this witch from the painting like in the background. And I thought this was gonna be the story. Like this witch was trying to haunt him. So you see the witch a couple of times in the paint, like in the background, and then you see it behind the guy's the dad, and then he realizes that her dad is the person he saw in the coat suckling the witch. So again, and then they don't really go back to that. And I thought that was the story, but then we jump forward a few years, and now he's married to this woman, and he's done very well for himself. His art career's obviously picked up. He's become like an exhibition putter on an exhibition. I want to say exhibitions, but I don't think that's the right word. But someone puts on art exhibitions, and he's done really well. But then he gets a painting delivered to him, and it's one by this Pickman guy who we haven't seen because he goes back to the house and he's gone after the sort of like the weird visions of this witch. And now this in this painting, it's kind of like a gruesome painting. It's like these creatures in it, and it's like they're trying to kill people and eat children and stuff. And he's like, "Oh God, no!" Like, and he covers up the painting. His son sort of, you see his son look at the painting as well. So then he's going to set up this exhibition, and they're all sitting around like the people who set up these exhibitions are all sitting around talking about it. And suddenly this one of his friends says, "Oh, I've got another artist. I want to meet him. His name's Pickman. His Pickman guy's back." And he's instantly like, "Oh no," because he doesn't want these paintings getting out. Because he thinks there's something iffy with these paintings. He knows that they affect you in ways, drive you sort of mad a little bit. So then he's like, "Oh no, I don't really want this." So then he sort of decides he wants to meet with Pickman and try and stop these paintings getting put out. He doesn't want anyone seeing him, doesn't want anyone to know about him because he knows that there's something evil within these paintings that this Pickman's doing. So we have a lot of him meeting Pickman, conversations with Pickman, and I just felt it was dragged on a bit and it was just a bit dull. And I don't like being negative about anything, but it was really dull. It was a bit boring. And then he sort of goes back to Pickman's house with him to sort of see the paintings because Pickman says to him, I want you to come see his paintings. And he's trying to hold off as he doesn't want to go at first, but he decides, I'm going to go. So he goes down to Pickman's house where the paintings are, and he literally like just tries to destroy everything. He starts pouring petrol everything, and then like Pickman says to him, look, no, this isn't, I'm not drawing things from imagination, I'm drawing things that I see in life. And then like he just sets fire to everything. Oh no, sorry, he doesn't first. Oh yeah, he does. He sets fire to everything, and then Pickman goes, I've got to show you something. I've got to show you something. He goes to show him something, and a guy William, he shoots Pickman. So I think he's become obsessed that this guy's evil and everything he's drawing is evil and is this horror that's coming out of these paintings, and it has to be stopped. It has to be destroyed because things are going to come true in these paintings. So then he then I don't even know how to explain it. So he set fire to the place, shot the guy, and then you sort of see this creature come out of a well. It was very much like It, and this is what kind of like got me. This is like a bit of an It copy because this creature comes out of this well exactly the same way Pennywise does in the newer movies of It. This well thing. So this creature comes out of the well and then drags Pickman in, and we've seen these creatures before, sort of in the background and in the graveyards and stuff. And again, it's like, but that's not what the story was. It felt like his story was like a few different stories that sort of sunk together. It didn't make any sense. None of this made sense to me. I mean, I'm very tired. I'm not very well either, so that probably doesn't help. But I just couldn't get into this one. I didn't enjoy it as much. So anyway, so then he gets sucked into the well. Sort of guy William, because you always want to say hero is the main guy, but none of the people that are the main characters in any of these stories are heroes. Or they're very much not heroes. Not even anti-heroes, just not heroes. They're just most of them aren't very nice people. So anyway, he's then gone back after destroying all this artwork, and he's left. Watched this guy get dragged down a pit, and it's almost as if he's like, "Oh yeah, everything's fine now. I've fixed everything. Everything's fine." He goes to his gallery where he's got the exhibition up, and he notices that Pickman's paintings are all over the place. And he's like, "Oh my god, what are he doing here?" Like he runs to go and find the guy that's done this, and then when he finds the guy, he turns around and he's all cut up. He's got the witch mark that the witch had on her head. He's got that. And he's like, no. He's like, he realizes this guy's been taken over by the paintings. He's just staring at the paintings. So then he wants all the paintings like removed. So he goes and finds this guy. He says, like, you need to get rid of all the paintings. And he sees his family, and his wife and his kid are looking at one of the paintings. He instantly takes it off the wall. Says, don't look at that. Don't look at that. Orders his like guy in charge there to destroy all the paintings, get rid of them. Do not look at them. Just destroy them. Which, for all we know, he does. We don't know. Then we sort of jump forward a bit. He's coming home from work. He sees his wife in the kitchen. She's chopping up carrots, but she's not moving. She's just chopping, in rhythmic sort of sense. And already, before he even goes near, you know that there's something messed up with his wife. You just know it. And then, like, he goes over to her and he says to her, look, it's all okay now. Everything's sorted. Everything's done. Everything's okay. He turns her around and she's got no eyes. She's like cut her own eyes out and there's blood and she's got the witch symbol up on her head as well. And then she's like, oh, I've seen the evil in the darkness, which is quite gets said quite a lot in this. And then he's like, where's our son? And then in the most disturbing, you kind of knew as soon as you saw the oven was on and the son is missing, you kind of knew. Like, and the way they show it to you isn't very nice, but it's also not as effective as I suppose they wanted it to be a massive impact. So he opens the oven, you sort of see from the other side of the oven that there's a child's head in the oven. And it's all getting smoked, it's all gone grey, and then the fire takes over, and then the episode ends. So I get what they were trying to do with this episode, but to me, it didn't hit. And it was like, if you're going to have a witch, have the witch, then there was these goblin creatures instead of the witch, and then then the witch symbol appears on other things. So I was kind of a bit like, I was just really disappointed by this episode because the other episodes leading up to this have been, everyone's been fantastic and they've built better. Then we've hit this one. I suppose it is the middle, so that's usually where they give you the dodgy episode anyway. But yeah, I wasn't as happy with this one. I'm hoping the next episode, which we're going to watch in a minute, is better. I'm fingers crossed. I said I'm very. That is a cross finger. Shadow made it look like just one finger. I'm not giving the middle finger. But there you go. I am disappointed, but hope, again, the next episode, I'm hoping it's going to be better, and we hope we go back up to this Del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities a lot better. So that episode was called Pickman's Model. Definitely not my favourite episode, but let's see what the next episode has in store.